Hey, Emily.
Yes, everybody take a seat, we'll get started. To James. All right, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Lisa McDonough. About another hour, I am the president of the Board of England Botanic Garden, and I welcome everyone here. First, I want to start by reading the Botanic Garden's land acknowledgement, so bear with me. Welcome to New England Botanic Garden at Tower Hill. This garden sits on nearly 200 acres of the ancestral homelands of the Sonomisko Nipmuc band. The Nipmuc people are Algonquin-speaking freshwater people. In reference to the multitude of lakes, streams, and rivers throughout their traditional homelands, central Massachusetts, northeast Connecticut, and northwest Rhode Island. They lived for thousands of years with an intimate knowledge of ecological processes, interdependent relationships, and cycles of abundance and decline of medicinal plants, which continue to shape who they are as people, socially, economically, and politically. Following King Philip's War in 1675, the Nipmuc people's population was decimated to about 1,000 people due to warfare, disease, and oppression. When white colonists first put roots down on the spot now known as Tower Hill in the early 1700s, the colony of Massachusetts put pressure on the Nipmuc to sell their lands. Today, the Hassanamiska Nipmuc Community Centers on the Mezitt Reservation, a 3.5-acre property located in Grafton, Mass. The reservation is unique in Massachusetts for never having been occupied by non-native people. It has transformed over the centuries to a traditional cultural property and symbol of tribal persistence and continuity. We need to protect and honor the history and people of this land. To learn more about the Hassanamiska Nipmuc band, please visit lowercase nippi.org. All right, so now I will finish by calling to order the 182nd annual meeting of the Worcester County Horticultural Society, and it's my pleasure to introduce Matt Mattis, our secretary.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to read the secretary's report. So we had 73 members submit their votes during registration. So this fulfills the quorum of 60 members. So I make a motion to waive the reading of the 181st Worcester County Horticultural Society annual meeting minutes. May I have a second?
Second, sir.
Of the submitted votes to waive the reading of the 181st Worcester County Horticultural Society annual meeting minutes, 65 in favor, 1 opposed, 7 abstained.
And the motion carries.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the 181st Worcester County Horticultural Society annual meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks. Of the submitted votes to approve the minutes, the 181st Worcester County Horticultural annual meeting, there were 65 in favor, 0 opposed, 8 abstained.
Carries. Next, I'd like to call up the podium our treasurer, Mike Mezitt.
Thanks, Lisa.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike McNowski, and I have served as the garden's treasurer for 3 years now. Assistant treasurer for 2 years before that. My role as the garden's treasurer is to present the financial health of this wonderful organization to various internal committees, board of trustees, and to you as members. At this time last year, I was sharing my annual update with you, which focused on the garden's bounce back to a more normal, in many cases, very successful. Happy to report, we continued that bounce back during fiscal year 23, but might be more appropriate to characterize FY23 as a transition year. More specifically, a transition to a new normal. As you know, there have been so many positive changes here at the garden in just a few short years, which is why Grace and her executive team had the courage about a year ago to propose to my finance committee, which was ultimately approved by the Board of Trustees, an FY23 budget with a revenue goal that was higher than any year in the garden's history. Roughly $7 million was the target. Get the slides. Okay, go one forward, actually. There you go. So you can see the trend of the last 5 fiscal years. I'm happy to report, thanks to the outstanding, much better than budgeted revenue results, private events, education, along with impressive as budgeted revenue results from admissions, membership. Overall revenue came in ahead of budget for FY23 by about $55,000. Total revenue result of $7,117,171 this year. Even more impressive, this is just important to really point out, when you look at the FY23 results relative to the 5-year trend, last year's revenue results did not include any COVID relief or stimulus, which was a meaningful portion of the total revenue for the previous 2 fiscal years. In other words, the FY23 revenue results were an increase of about 26%, roughly $1.5 million, from the FY22 revenue when stripping out the federal stimulus funds factored into the previous year, and an eye-popping 40% increase, or roughly $2 million, when you compare against the pre-pandemic FY20 results. Bottom line, operating revenue for the garden is humming along very nicely, and almost every category that me and my finance team obsess about as reliable indicators for the organization's financial health. The trend is good and the results continue to be very strong. And before I leave you thinking that I only deliver good news, I will be smiling at the end, that's I promise. I will quickly highlight some financial headwinds that we endured last year. Moments ago, I spoke glowingly about the record-setting revenue results that stemmed from having some of the most creative, hardworking, dedicated employees around. Employees that love to welcome the public to this amazing destination, a garden for all. To enjoy wonderful new attractions, enhanced facilities, and one-of-a-kind exhibits. We should all be very proud of the experience that the garden consistently delivers to the public. But the cost of delivering this amazing experience year in and year out has increased pretty dramatically in recent years. As you can see, the trend in revenue is also paired with the trend in increased costs. This should not come as a surprise, though, as you know quite well, we're a growing institution, and it simply costs more to run the garden on an annual basis. But beyond that obvious truth is an additional challenge that most businesses and individuals have been facing for nearly 3 years now: persistent high inflation. Most goods and services just cost more lately, and the garden is not immune to this ongoing challenge. For FY23, we saw an increase in both personnel costs, which is roughly 2/3 of the annual budget, as well as operating costs. Thankfully, as a result of many thoughtful and strategic conversations had throughout the year, the organization was able to strike a healthy balance between continuing to invest in the garden and its staff, while also managing around some difficult cost decisions wherever possible. Going forward, we will continue to navigate this challenge along with the rest of you and hopefully see some easing to inflationary pressures in the near future. I'm going to go just forward one more slide. Finally, with regards to the balance sheet of the organization at the end of FY23, we're in a very strong position. Total net assets for the garden sat at roughly $52 million in total, with no debt. Very important to emphasize that. The year-over-year change in total assets did see a decrease of about $1 million, around $1 million, a decrease of about 2% year-over-year. A lot of that had to do with the endowment. Broken out a little bit further, about $24 million of the balance sheet is fixed assets, buildings, lands, plants, etc. And the other big component on the page here is the endowment, which is worth about $25.3 million as of March 31st, 2023. As I'm sure most of you are aware, the stock market had a very difficult 2022, along with bonds and stocks both posting double-digit losses. Thankfully, 2023 has been considerably better so far, and our endowment has been able to navigate volatility reasonably well. As of March 31st, the trailing 1-year return for the investment portfolio was -6%, which is actually pretty good considering relative comparison. And on an even more positive note, when you look further, the 3-year annualized return for the portfolio is 12.7% per year. 5 years, 6% per year, and the 10-year return has been 6.9% per year. The investment portfolio has only experienced 3 negative years over the last 10 fiscal years for its net performance, and a total gain of over for $13 million during that 10-year period of time. In summary, over my 3 years as treasurer for the garden, I described fiscal year 21 as the year of resiliency, fiscal year 22 as a bounce back year, and I think it's only appropriate to recognize FY 23 as the transition to a new normal. There are certainly many challenges still ahead as we continue to navigate all the economic concerns going around. Given the extremely strong results seen last year in admissions, membership, garden shop sales, private event rentals, and the education programs, which we consider to really be the categories that make up the garden's revenue engine, I'm very pleased to reiterate that the New England Botanic Garden Tower Hill is in a strong financial position and on a very good path. Thank you.
Off script a minute to say that Mike mentioned the word impressive. We didn't describe as impressive Mike's performance. Along with Jane and Heather and the finance committee, it's been a rough 3 years to make it through a pandemic and continue. And they have done great reports. They've explained to us board members. They have kept us rally-based, even though we want to make this place bigger, better. But it is thanks to Mike and his team. So thank you.
And I'll go off script one more time. And Jane and Heather and their team, really.
You and Heather. So thank
Yeah.
you. Now it brings me to the president's report. I like the fact that you guys brought animals in here as well as plants. It's a nice little spider. So the president's report usually, obviously reporting what went on this year. Grace is already going to do that. So again, I go off the script a lot, as my board members can tell you. And you actually teed it up very well for me, though. What I wanted to do is something that brought my children up to thinking that's one of the most important things you can ever do, and that's thank people. So I'm up here to thank the people that make this place. So the first people are the members, you who are here, the people who are watching, the people who aren't even on this call. Without your financial support, there would be no garden. There would be no mission. So thank you for supporting us through a really rough patch and continuing and allowing us to grow and become the New England Botanic Garden. And my predecessor, as Jim started us going, saying we need to grow and we need to grow boldly. And it's only with your financial backing that we can do that. So you have given us basically the possibilities. The next group I wanted to thank are the people behind the scenes, the staff. They are the most incredible amount of people that you would know. They are working, dedicated, smart, creative. They can change things on a dime, literally. If we don't have the dime, they will change and come up with something else to be able to do things. So I want to thank the staff that's here to say that you allow the garden to have magic. Without your stuff behind the scenes, there would be no magic. At the exhibits, the lectures, the events, the fairy dust, everything. You allow that. Thirdly, I'd like to thank my board. They went on the ride with me for 2 years. My first board meeting, voted in the name. After much discussion over years, we took the handle and said, that's it, we're gonna just do it. And they are another group that you don't see, that are hardworking, that direct this place, keep our feet to the fire, but keep us reality-based, as Mike does all the time. So I just want to say that thanks to my board members, because you're what allowed the passion here. And finally, I'd like to thank Grace, my partner, well, I shouldn't say in crime. We haven't done anything wrong. She and Jim pulled me off the executive committee 4 years ago to have discussion, asked me to be president, to be vice president and president. I was like, I'm not sure. I don't know what you see in me. But she mentored me. She's been a partner. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a wild ride. It's been great. And it's thanks to Grace's leadership that we have made it through all this and we've come this far. So that's been fabulous. So if you add up all that, you have possibility, you have magic, you have passion, and you have leadership. And that's what makes this place so special. So it has, and I will take a word from the mission and strategic plan. It has been my joy. So thank you. podium. He's our development chair.
Lisa mentioned, good plenty of this without our membership. And, it's a lot more of you now than there were last year. And it's really cool. You see our membership is growing significantly. And not only is it just a question of more people being members, but members are being friends. You can see there's been a lot of members bringing visitors along with them. Members spending time in our shop and taking advantage of our programming. A lot of the financial successes that we had in the past year are really related back to all of you here in the room today and people watching us, people not watching. So to share the development committee, I want to thank you both for your enthusiasm and support of this place. It's really important, and we just hope to keep growing this number of people who are here. But this has been an impressive growth of members from about an additional 1,000 members in one fiscal year. And it wasn't too long ago that we had about 6,000 or 7,000 members here to be able to live 1,000 miles away. Next slide talks about where the funds are coming from. And what I want to hone in here on is down near the middle, it says grants, about $456,000 in grants. Teresa Lee, our Chief Development Officer, and her staff have really done a wonderful job in increasing our ability to start to get funding from foundations. We had in fiscal 22 grants from 17 foundations. In fiscal 23, we had grants from 30 foundations, and the amount of grants increased by close to 60%. And for us to continue to drive revenue, have our revenue expenses, besides all of the generous donations we're getting from individuals, grant funding is increasingly more important. It's a real focus of what we're doing in development is becoming more and more successful. The number of funders that we're attracting and the size of the organizations that we're attracting are both growing. And a lot of our potential to bring additional revenue to the organization is based on what we're going to. So a lot of good things are happening in development, but I just wanted to point out the significant improvement we've made in grant funding, and I think the potential to continue is going to continue. So once again, Teresa and staff, wonderful job on that. Moving on to our Growing Boldly campaign. This is the capital campaign that we've been running for a number of years now. And thanks to the generosity of many people, foundations, individuals, we've raised close to $29 million. And what you're seeing for that $29 million is the ramp. That's the centerpiece of all of that. We knew we needed that garden. We knew we needed to continue to attract families and children to Tower Hill. That's the future of our growth. That's the future of horticulture. To a certain extent, as the effective use of horticulture is going to manage climate change sustainability, it's to a certain extent the future of it. So we're very pleased that we're able to open that garden. We knew opening that garden, visitation was going up and our parking had to expand. You've probably seen our new parking lots not only are they a lot larger, they're beautifully maintained. There's a lot of nice species growing in the parking lot right now. And having that parking lot doubled in size has allowed us to sell many more tickets to nightlights. Nightlights is still our single biggest current revenue generator every year. We used to have to turn people away. Now we can attract additional people. The same thing with the orchid show this year. The parking lot allowed us to bring in a lot more people for events like that. And then probably a little bit less noticeable, we've done a lot of work in terms of universal accessibility. We're improving all our pathways to make it easier to get around. We're improving our signage to make it easier to find out where you are on the property. So between the ramble and the parking and our accessibility improvements, $29 million is going a long way. And the last component is building our endowment. I'll speak to that in a minute on the next slide. So let's move to one more slide. I guess We'll just go back for a second. Okay, hang on one second. Very good. You guys agree with that? Yeah, the last point here is the endowment. The McDonough Family Foundation honored us with a $1.5 million charity to increase our endowment, and we were able to make that match during the course of fiscal year 23, which goes a long way to providing our long-term financial stability. So thank you to all of you who participated and made a gift in that extent. It's an area we want to continue to grow the endowment. The larger the endowment gets, the more financial backing we have to go forward. You'll need to do, and as we attract larger and larger foundations to support us, a question they always ask is, what is the size of your endowment and how financially stable are you? And as we demonstrate, we have good financial backing, our ability to raise even additional. So the endowment was a phenomenal addition for this year. And thanks to Lisa and her family. Real circle. This is something that we've had for a long time, but really haven't concentrated on. The perennial circle is our program to have people consider leaving something to Tower Hill and for estates. Past year, Lisa, our past development chair, has spent quite a bit of time with Teresa and people on her staff to upgrade that program. We've added new people to the program. We're continually looking to find new ways to expand that. We're sending out communications on a monthly basis to people 55 years and older, have interesting information on what's going on in the financial world, and also kind of advertising how Sunday participation in the circle might be beneficial to them in managing their estates and to Cary long term. So to the extent that anybody watching today or here today has interest in that, these years and people talk to you about the everything else we're doing in development to growth of the circle. I think the bottom line is we raise significant money. We have a staff of people that are positioned to continue to do that. We have a very supportive membership that helps us do that. So thanks for that. Thank you.
Up is our fearless leader, Grace Elton, to give her CEO.
Lisa. Hello, members. Thanks so much for joining us for the 182nd meeting of the Worcester County Horticultural Society. I'm excited because for the next 5 to 10 minutes, I get to just brag about my staff and all the wonderful things that they've done this past year. We have had an extraordinary year. At this time last year, we were cautiously making plans for growing our mission, our programs, and our gardens. We were wondering if this recovery from COVID was realistic. And we have not only returned to our pre-pandemic numbers, but we actually ended the fiscal year with the highest visitation in the garden's history. That's really thanks to our enhanced facilities, our expanded programs, and our newly renovated gardens. So thank you all so much for supporting the many facets of our mission. This really allows us to be a leader in the region. So a few numbers. In fiscal 23, we welcomed over 213,000 people to this garden. 108,000 of these came as general visitors during the day. About 72,000 came to our most popular night lights in the garden's history. And just to put that in perspective, that 213,000 people, that's about triple the visitation that we had 10 years ago. So I always say to my staff, if you feel tired, this is why. Because we're serving a lot more people than we ever have. We also have expanded our education programs quite a bit. We have 14,000, almost 15,000 youth and adults that attended class, 6,500 joined us for a special event, and over 11,000 attended a private event. The original 50-year master plan of the garden thought that we would only see 150,000 people by 2035. We actually surpassed that back in 2019. We were 16 years early, so we were growing with a vengeance. Our growth really is outstanding. and interest in all that we have to offer is greater than ever before. As Rick mentioned, membership is very, very strong. We're now holding over 11,000 members. And we really couldn't operate our garden without our wonderful, wonderful volunteers. I see many of you here today. We have just last fiscal year, we had 250 volunteers that donated over 7,500 hours of volunteer help to this garden. Guided by our strategic plan, we've also been able to invest in green technology, changing our fleet of utility vehicles and power tools that are used to maintain our gardens from gas to electric power. And the dedication to green technology has earned us recognition, first botanic garden in the nation to be Green Zone certified by the American Green Zone Alliance. We're also in the middle of installing a solar panel array on our barn, and that will power the new electric fleet. We've also installed our new electric vehicle charging stations in our parking lot. So we're really proud of our sustainable steps forward. In the past year, we've opened new gardens, such as the Ramble that was dedicated by the McDonough family. And we have had so much fun programming in this space, teaching families and school groups about the natural world. Our education team has also offered many fun and interesting programs and exhibitions, such as Uprooted, November, the Orchid Show, the Pride Celebration, Diwali Lights, and Music in Bloom. We've completed a few major renovation projects in the garden, in addition to the installation of a brand new garden, the Ramble. Hopefully you've noticed the hard work of horticulture staff in renovating the new Joe Garden and Inspiration, the Wildlife Garden, the Wildlife Refuge Pond, Winter Garden, the Entry Path, the Secret Garden, the Court, Garden Within Reach. They have been quite busy out there making our gardens and our plant collections bigger and better. We've also opened a climate garden that's just this building off of Plenty's Alley that'll help to demonstrate plant-based solutions to climate change at a homeowner scale. If you haven't seen it yet, please take a walk out Plenty's Alley and check it out. We've also continued to expand our off-site programs that engages more of our community with our mission. In our horticulture outreach programs, we're creating planting opportunities with these giant planters when no tree wells exist, and we're bringing quite a bit of green to Worcester's main south neighborhood. We're also planting hundreds of trees in environmental justice neighborhoods this year with our Get a Tree, Plant a Tree program. Our educational outreach programs include both on and off-site programs that bring our community groups to the garden, as well as bring our programs off the hill. Our newest program, Growing Greener, engages 5th and 6th grade students in environmental justice and a climate change curriculum. And this really empowers the students to take action when they might not feel like they can do anything about climate change. It gives them the tools to really feel empowered by this. So of course, all of this couldn't be done without our wonderful staff, which is our greatest asset. And I'll embarrass my staff a little bit. Senior staff, could please stand. We have Jane Ellis, Chief Financial and Operating Officer. Teresa Lee, Chief Development Officer. Peterson. Sean Woodlett, Director of Facilities. John, Marketing and Communications Manager. Senior Finance Manager. And of course, these wonderful leaders are supported by fabulous teams. So could all staff in the room please stand as well. And my special thanks to Diana West, my wonderful executive assistant and the board liaison who keeps this place running every day and keeps me on track. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to end by telling you about a very special vacation that we have this year. In December, Board of Trustees member Martha Pappas dedicated the pavilion in the Ramble to her dear friend, Barbara Morse. Barbara sadly passed away in January. After an extended illness. And really, our whole community is feeling this same too. Barbara was a vibrant, dedicated woman who served our institution for over a decade. She was essential in helping to guide our future direction. As part of the master planning group, the strategic planning group, she served on countless committees. And I will be forever grateful for her leadership on the CEO search committee because she found me and brought me to this wonderful garden. The Barbara Morse Pavilion will be a spot where groups can gather, where celebrations will be held, or visitors can enjoy their lunch in the sunshine. It will be a permanent reminder we are all so lucky to have met her, and that her influence on this garden and the people she touched will remain. So thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for your membership, and thank you for helping us fulfill our mission of creating experiences with plants that inspire people and improve lives.
Great. And next, I'd like to invite up Kendra Russell, the governance.
Chair the governance committee. As everybody is down here, I want to thank the group of hard-working committee members. Our purpose is governance, so we do the not so exciting work of compliance, bylaws, and things like that that most people go on about, but we don't. It's pretty exciting. And then we have the fun bit of considering any proposals for participation in the organization. Trustees. So, Madam President, I move to make the following nominations in accordance with the nominating slate made available online for members. As I call your name, if you're here, please stand. I nominate Samantha McDonald and Susan Pelatucci for second 3-year terms as trustees. Thank you. That's always a good sign. I nominate Greg Brown, Ashley Donahue, James Karadimos, Jean Putley, Gail Weiss, Shirley Williams for a first 3-year term as trustees. So if I could ask you, Shirley will stay sitting, and she's not a new trustee. She's been around. You met. Thank you. I nominate Matt Mattis, and Lisa McDonough for a 1-year term in order to continue serving as officers. I nominate the following individuals as officers of the society. This is where the coup d'etat occurs, by the way. So pay attention. I nominate myself. Treasurer, luckily, Michael Magnowski has agreed to stay on. Assistant Treasurer, Emily Wood. Secretary, Richard Leaf. Vice President, Catherine Colombo. Matthew Mattis, and Lisa McDonough. I nominate the following individuals to new terms on the Governance Committee: Ashlyn Donahue and Gail Weiss for 3 years. I request a second for these proposed.
Okay.
Thank you. Of the submitted votes, there were 65 in favor, 0 opposed, which is very reassuring. 8 abstained, and the motion carries. Script, just like thank you. I'd like to invite the new trustees forward for a photo. Is that something to do? Really? Let's do that.
No. Megan, where was it? I didn't hear you when you said
Should stand.
The youth of the club, be friendly. Right.
What we have new trustees, now we can salute the retired trustees. We would like to give our gratitude to our retiring trustees. Matthew Beaton, Howard Jacobson, Dix Leeson, Barbara Morse, Michael Bogano, Martha Pappas, and Stephen Pitcher for their years of dedication to the Worcester County Horticultural Society and New England Botanic Garden in Towertown. I invite them or the representatives to come forward to receive a small token of our appreciation. Also for a photo.
Oh, he's a long man.
Take them all.
Now I'd like to invite Grace Elton forward again.
Sure. Okay. That's me. It is bittersweet for me to honor our outgoing president, Lisa Donna. For the past 2 years, Lisa has been a dynamic leader of our board and a true partner to me and to the garden. Some of my favorite phone calls begin by Lisa saying, I have an idea for the garden. I always knew that something inventive, mission focused, and maybe a little bit off the wall was coming. Whenever Lisa puts her time into something, it becomes better. She's a true connector, and she runs one heck of an efficient meeting. Wild ideas have had so much positive influence on this garden. We are a better organization for her leadership. Lisa, I truly value working so closely with you. Goodness, you've done so much for us, and I thank you so much. So we'd like to give you a little piece of an EBG to honor your presidency. Did that work, Martin? I invite you to take a closer look after the meeting. This is one of the bowls that we had created from our historic apple orchard. Yeah. So come take a look. It's a really, really special, really. The awards are actually for the really important people. I would now like to invite Suzanne Hauerstein, Volunteer Intern Coordinator, to present the Volunteer Award, Amy Nyman, Horticulture Outreach Manager, to present the Community Awards, and Mark Richardson, Director of Horticulture, to present the Cary Award.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm Suzanne Hauerstein, Coordinator of Volunteer and Intern Services here at New England Botanic Garden. And I'm pleased to present the 4th Annual Volunteer Award, not to one, but to 2 very deserving volunteers, Eileen Clark and Kathleen Edwards. The Annual Volunteer Award is presented to volunteers who have demonstrated outstanding service to New England Botanic Garden. The nominations come from our staff and are reviewed by our chosen by the awards committee in conjunction with the volunteer board. Eileen and Kathleen have many things in common. They are both dedicated to volunteering at New England Botanic Garden. Both volunteer in the gardens. Both are garden guides and tours, and they're both Massachusetts master gardeners. Kathleen and Eileen are always happy to jump in and help out with just about any job here. Both are experts at talking with guests, friends, family members, neighbors, and other master gardeners, and sharing their love of the botanic garden. They do an amazing job of recruiting new volunteers and new garden members. They have a deep interest in plants, a passion for gardening, and both love being here. They do have some differences though. Eileen leads golf cart tours. Kathleen does not. Kathleen is a garden explainer. Eileen is not. One of them has pink hair. The other. Eileen started volunteering here in 2014. Since then, she has given over 1,200 hours to the garden. Brings her experience and gardening skills from her years as a master gardener and working in her own home gardens with her when she volunteers here. She acts as a mentor to the newer garden volunteers and uses her gardening skills to show them proper horticultural techniques. Eileen is particularly good at making people feel welcome and included, and is always up for any tasks the horticulture team has. She has helped to recruit many new volunteers from the Master Gardener program, and when the horticulture team requests materials for making things like bottle flowers for little jug for nightlights, Eileen is always willing to go the extra mile and raid her neighbors' recycle bins and dumpsters. Get us the crafting materials we need. Kathleen has been volunteering at the garden since 2019 and has given over 440 hours to Kathleen is incredibly outgoing and friendly and always goes above and beyond to answer a guest's plant question or help a guest find a tree or bench dedication. Not only will she find the dedicated tree or bench, but she'll walk with the guests to the location and learn their story along the way. Guests always stop at the information desk to let us know how helpful she has been to them. She loves to talk to guests about plants in the gardens and the many benefits of being a member. She has sold numerous memberships to first-time guests and families and has forged many friendships with guests during her garden experiences. Guests come to the gardens to look for her, specifically to ask her questions or to continue a conversation they started with her. Both are incredible ambassadors for New England Botanic Garden. It's clear to all of those who know Kathleen and Eileen that they're committed to the New England Botanic Garden's mission of creating experiences with plants that inspire people and improve the world. They do this effortlessly on a daily basis. Eileen and Kathleen, I'm so happy to present you with this award. We genuinely appreciate everything you do for us here at the Gardens. Thank you for your continued support and dedication to the Gardens. We're happy.
We're gonna get a photo too. Kathleen, Eileen. Yes.
And of course, you get one.
Yeah.
Hello, I am Amy Nyman, the Horticulture Outreach Manager, and I get to work the Community Greening Awards. The Community Greening Awards provide an opportunity for us to recognize the work that individuals, businesses, and community organizations do to create attractive, usable green spaces within their neighborhoods. Projects are evaluated based on how well they meet landscape sustainability standards. Some of these standards include, but are not limited to, enhancing the space, exhibiting plant diversity, innovative design, and uses sustainable and resilient principles such as reducing water use, reducing or eliminating herbicide and pesticide use, reducing the heat island effect, and keeping existing materials and resources on site. There are many other standards that we have listed on the site for nomination, so if you're interested in that, please look at our website. We have 3 awards to present this year. When I announce your name, please come forward for a photo and to get your membership. And if you can stay for a few minutes afterwards, the marketing team would like to get some photos of you in the winter garden as well. They will touch base with you afterwards. The best edible garden is presented to the North High School in Worcester for their student-grown garden that donates fresh produce to the Worcester Free Produce Project. This is going to be awarded to Eliza Lawrence. Are you here? And can you come forward?
Whatever you.
We can wait
after, let everyone.
The best sustainable public green space is presented to Rest Stop Ranch in Topsfield, Mass. In recognition of creating an accessible garden open to all, free of charge, and being a certified wildlife habitat. Mary McDonald and Carl Ackerman will come forward to accept the award. And the best sustainable municipally sponsored project is presented to the town of Millbury, the Armory Village Revitalization Project, in recognition of positive low impact development that improves stormwater management with rain gardens and improves pedestrian safety with bump outs at the crosswalks. Connor McCormick from the planning department will come forward to accept the award. And nominations for the 2024 Community Greening Awards will be open as of next week. To seeing our nominations for next year. Thank you.
Afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Richardson. I'm horticulture director here, and I have the distinct pleasure of presenting the Cary Award this afternoon. Cary Award is named in honor of a Shrewsbury plantsman named Ed Cary, and it's presented in recognition of demonstrated excellence in the area field of horticulture. Nominees for the award have an established reputation as faculty, as landscape professionals, plant breeders, nursery professionals, and researchers, with a special emphasis on sustainable horticulture. The Cary Award has changed in recent years. It was first envisioned in the mid-1990s, but this year marks the first time that the Worcester County Horticultural Society will present the award to an individual. You'll hear a little bit more about the history of the Cary Award when Wayne speaks a little bit later on this afternoon. But from 1997 to 2019, the Cary Award program recognized great plants for new gardens as a way of promoting underutilized great performers throughout the region. In 2020, the Worcester County Horticultural Society decided to shift the emphasis of the award program from plants to people to honor individual contributions to the horticulture. And I would really like to thank the members of the Cary Award Selection Committee for their time carefully reviewing and discussing the nominees. This year's committee included Pat Bigelow of Bigelow Nurseries, Andy Brand of Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens, John Lee, who serves on our Board of Trustees, Brian Maynard of the University of Rhode Island, and Joanne Vieira of the Trustees. We met to discuss the 11 nominees, and honestly, I can't think of anyone more deserving of this honor than this year's recipient, Mr. Wayne Mezitt. At this time, I'm supposed to read a bio And I think Wayne has a really impressive bio. Wayne has spent his entire lifetime working in the field of horticulture. And you'll have an opportunity to hear a little bit more about his journey in the field. Wayne's been involved with the Cary Award since its inception in the mid-1990s. And you'll hear a lot more about it from himself in just a few minutes. Honestly, the more I was thinking about how to present this year's award to Wayne, I felt like it might be a little bit better to kind of shine a spotlight on Wayne through my eyes. And you'll understand that a little bit better in a second. So before I present him with this year's award, I just want to share this small personal anecdote. Wayne won't remember this, but we first met back in 1998 when I was an undergrad at University of Rhode Island studying horticulture. My instructor, who was actually one of our Cary Award committee members, Brian Maynard, invited nursery professionals to speak to the class about their experiences in the industry. Honestly, I don't remember a lot of what Wayne had to say that afternoon or that morning. I was working at the time, I was busy with school, but I was really honed in on the fact that the guy was there in the first place. What really struck me was that he had made the trek all the way from Hopkinton to Kingston, Rhode Island. If you grow up in Rhode Island, Kingston is pretty far from any neighboring town, but it's incredibly far from Massachusetts. And the fact that Wayne was willing to make the trek for an early morning class was really impressive to me as a young Rhode Islander. And what he was really doing was he was coming to speak with a group of young people who were contemplating a career in the field. So this was the head of Weston Nurseries, the guy whose father had developed the PJM rhododendron. So you all know the PJM rhododendron. He was like a rock star to me. Sorry, this is just personal teary. I want to talk about people who had an impact. I'd read about Wayne and Michael Durr's book, Manual of Woody Landscape Plants. I was pretty sure that he probably knew Mike Durr personally. Maybe had spoken with him on the phone, maybe toured him through his nursery. And that, for a young horticulturist, that was like meeting the president. And what was really interesting about Wayne is he was just incredibly generous with his time, very encouraging. And I know he's always that way with young people that he meets in the field. In fact, when the Cary Award committee met earlier this year to talk about all the nominees, several of the members told similar stories about how supportive Wayne was of them in the beginning and also throughout their careers, including Andy Brand, who just had amazing things to say about how supportive Wayne was through his career. Wayne's a true plantsman. He spent his entire lifetime in the field of horticulture. And on behalf of the Worcester County Horticultural Society, I'm really honored to recognize his work with this year's Cary. Thank you, Wayne. And we'll hear from Wayne at the conclusion of the meeting. Back up and give a talk about the Cary Award. Thank you.
Hi. Thanks to Suzanne, Amy, and of course to Mark. So now we're going to follow up with we go to another award. I'm going to go to the Silver Medal, and I will tell you it was hands down very easy to pick out this year who would win the Silver Medal. Barbara Morse. So the Worcester County Horticultural Society Silver Medal is presented to a person or affiliate who has demonstrated exceptional service to the Worcester County Horticultural Society for over many years. This is the Society's highest honor. This year, the Board of Trustees is honoring Barbara Morse posthumously. Barbara was a dedicated supporter to the garden for many years and served on our Board of Trustees for over a decade. Barbara was a leader, a visionary, and a true friend to the garden through our recent extraordinary growth. Now, I'm not to go off script again. I said I could. I came on the board probably almost 10 years ago and met Barbara, and she was another very welcoming person. I think only second to Shirley was brought me onto the board, mentioned me. Barbara was unusual. She was a woman of two different women. One was a fantastic career woman, smart as a whip. She was great. She gave great constructive criticism. It wasn't really criticism. You felt good about it after she said it, after you thought about it. She was great on the board. But the other side of her is, I remember Barbara, if you wrote Barbara an email, it could be 3 words. She would come back with a 2-page, it was like a letter. It was most beautifully written. She was of another age. I mean, nobody writes letters like that over, what did you think of the board meeting? She'd go on for 2 pages. And it was just, and her vocabulary, she was an exceptional woman. My favorite thing about Barbara, though, was her smile. I mean, when she smiled, it lit up the room. She was missed. She was a wonderful person, and it couldn't go to a better person. So, silver medal for Barbara Morris. Okay, now, on my favorite part, the adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn the 182nd annual meeting of the Worcester County Horticultural Society? So the meeting is adjourned. Now, best part, I get to introduce Wayne Mezitt to come up forward to give his presentation in honor as the recipient of the Cary Award.
It's really quite an honor for me. You'll see why in a few minutes. This is just sort of a retrospective of the Cary Award at the beginning. And in 1966, I graduated from Cornell and I started my full-time career joining my dad and grandfather at Weston Nurseries. During my growing up years, I had worked off and on in a family business and the implicit understanding that our nursery utilized a then uncommon approach to doing business. Thanks to our unique market circumstances and economy, our nursery operating principles centered not solely on profitability, but on enhancing the availability of superior plants to help make gardening more approachable for customers. I joined my dad in his hybridizing endeavors, employing some fundamentals that guided our plant development and selection process as soon as I started at the nursery full time. Although it was never fully documented, these are the principles, the criteria that we adopted for our Weston Nurseries plant introduction program. Expanded seasons of garden interest with under-recognized plants. There. Early rhododendrons, calmia, summer azaleas are some of the plants that we focused on. Improved winter hardiness, improved adaptability, and year-round performance that reduce disappointments for people. Superior flower characteristics, such as reliable flowering, colors, texture, retention, even doubling, it turned out, after a few years. We were surprised with that. And anything that was currently available. Foliage quality, seasonal interest features, growth habit, especially compactness, which was becoming an important attribute in those days. Disease and pest resistance, of course, and special features, some of which turned up unexpectedly, like fragrance, adaptability to challenging conditions, short, and ease of propagation. In 1966, I became a Tower Hill Botanic Garden trustee. John Trexler, I wonder if we could put a slide of John. Yes. Asked me to join a new committee that would utilize a grant from Ed Cary for Tower Hill, or for the Worcester Horticultural Society. Cary specified that half of his grant should support the library and half would go toward awards and prizes for horticultural endeavors. John saw this grant as an opportunity to draw attention to many superior plants currently being underutilized by homeowners and landscapers. His concept was to develop a Tower Hill Botanic Garden administered plant recognition and promotion program for New England, like programs in other regions. The Cary Award program was set up as a collaborative effort of New England Botanic Garden, at that time Tower Hill, which is obviously the Worcester County Horticultural Society. Boy, that's a mouthful of names.
Sorry.
Massachusetts Horticultural Society, the New England Nursery Association, and the Massachusetts Nursery and Landscape Association. The goal was to identify and highlight home landscape ornamental plants that have proven their performance in New England. John assembled a diverse panel of regional horticultural experts to help Tower Hill establish criteria and choose plants for the Cary Award. The award would be given to recognize the plant, and anyone could nominate a plant. The thinking was that being nominated by a respected organization with no commercial ties enhanced the credibility of the selections, particularly as so many of the new plants are now being introduced on the market. Let me read you the names of the people who have been on the Cary Award committee over the years. We've got a slide at the end that shows everything Mark could find some of the committee at that time. Michael Arnold. Michael passed away suddenly at the end of February this year. Sad, but he was a major influencer on the Cary Award program. Andy Balin, Dave Barnett, Andy Brandt, Peter Del Tredici, Michael Dossman, Chris Fenderson, Doug Gagney, Gary Kohler, Brian Maynard, Jeff O'Donnell, who served as the chair for many years, Paul Rogers, I'm sure a lot of us probably remember. Starry, Deborah Swanson, Rick Torme, Paul Tukey, Joanne Vieira, and at the end, Kito Jane was in 1996, the Cary Award Committee established criteria for choosing a winning plant. Now, there's a handout at the desk that has these criteria. I'll just sort of read them off quickly here so that you can understand why I was taken with this program. Woody shrub, tree, or vine. Winter hardy within at least 2 of the 4 USDA hardiness zones in New England, zones 3 through 6. Could be 7 these days. A season extender with priority given to local winter features, especially appropriate for New England and easily available in the nursery industry. John and the committee envisioned the Cary Award program to add value by simplifying customer choices and assuring their gardening success, by increasing the awareness of the best, underutilized, easy to grow, and readily available plants for this region. Utilizing the expertise of recognized parties from every New England state, it was clearly a fair judgment. And most importantly, by conducting impartial evaluations by this committee, it was not linked to a marketing agenda. Perhaps just as important, it was envisioned as showcasing Tower Hill and Worcester Horticultural Society as a center of horticultural knowledge in the region. For me, many aspects of this program neatly dovetail with our Weston Nurseries vision for simplifying customers' tasks, selecting the right plants. Being associated with an impartial institution, it also offered more critical marketing potential that our nursery was capable of accomplishing. Starting in 1997, 5 plants were chosen to receive the award, and it continued every year through 2019 for a total of 59 plants selected as award winners. Margaret, were you able to print this up? We made a chart. Actually, it was back in 2017 that shows all of the award winners and their seasons of interest. And Art was nice enough to produce copies of this so that each of us can have one. This shows the idea of why we selected these plants and what their seasonality is. Like what I was experiencing in my nursery career, it became evident that the process of developing a new brand requires significant investment resources, some of which were not readily available to organizations. And both Weston Nurseries and Tower Hill faced this marketing challenge. From the beginning, this program was run by volunteers and never had sufficient funding or in-house expertise to run the professional program. We designed and printed a distinctive plant tag that would help garden center customers identify each award-winning plant. Here's a slide of that tag here. The slide just before that, one I'm pretty proud of, because back in the 1960s, early 70s, we, and I mean late 79, my dad and I visited Ed Cary at his nursery, which is right out here on Route 9. We were pretty impressed with the plants that he had growing there. A real horticulturist. So our committee designed and printed a distinctive tag that would help garden center customers identify each Cary Award-winning plant. But with limiting marketing resources, convincing retailers to buy and apply the tag was a challenge. They were reluctant to pay the 25 cents for each tag, which we needed to recoup our costs of production. Understand that. The garden center business. And with no marketing backup, it just seemed like something that wasn't perhaps not worth the effort. On the other hand, there are some nurseries like O'Donnell's in Maine, set up major, I don't have a slide, I wish I did, the slide of his market, his Cary Award kiosk, where he put up example of all the Cary Award plants that he carried with the tags on them to help promote for customers what the Cary Award was. But we're lucky to have on the committee a guy, the publisher, owner and publisher of People, Places, and Plants in Maine, Paul Dukey. Paul contributed some really critical financial design and printing support for many years. We're really indebted to him for keeping the program going. We had no funding for it. Over the years, as the Cary program developed, significant changes and surprises happened. Very few plants are being nominated by anyone other than our own committee members. The committee added additional cultivars to many initially chosen plants, and we even selected patented plants, which we had. Our original intent was not to consider them the knockout roses. We added a marketing and promotion committee and no funding, so our efforts were never very effective, except on an individual basis from committee members. And the ever increasing professional marketing and branding programs that were appearing industry-wide, countrywide, we had some real challenges. Brands like Endless Summer, Proven Winners, First Edition, Jeepers Creek, you know them all. Well-funded, certainly nothing like we could afford. And for years, Joanne Vieira and Michael Arnhem were instrumental in overseeing the program. And when Grace came on as executive director, the program went on hold. The plants chosen by the selection committee for the awards for 2018 and 19 were not publicized. Realistically, I think Grace understood this. Our committee was becoming seriously challenged to choose new plants. Most of those being considered had drawbacks that less than fully fulfilled the award criteria. Grace and Mark Richardson re-examined the details of Ed Cary's grant and made the determination that Ed's actual intent was to recognize individuals in plants. So, and as the Cary Award program was being reviewed, this web page was not maintained, and information about the program became increasingly difficult to find. I continue to believe that the results of our committee accomplished should be more fully utilized than that, since the plants these experts chose to receive the Cary Award over those 2 decades, ideal for many gardens in this region. Not only do they reduce every homeowner's dread choosing the wrong plants, all had that, but they also enhance the credibility and reputation of our New England Botanic Garden at Tower Hill. It's gratifying for me to see that the past Cary Award winning plants are now appearing on the website. If you Google Cary Award, New England Botanic Gardens, you'll see it. And I'm gratified that it's finally becoming more, that there's more awareness and now able to be made public. Interestingly, for some time recently, I've been trying to get Mark Richardson to tell me how I could continue to be involved with the Cary Award going forward. So, talking about surprises, perhaps the biggest one for me was learning that I would become the first non-plant. It's really an honor for me to join my non-human horticulture.
Thank you, Wayne. I think we like people better than plants at this point after that speech. So now I can just say thank you for coming, and let's go out and enjoy the summer Thursday evening beer garden. The garden will be open tonight. So thank you for coming.